on, vinyl community? Welcome to another video with the Record Spinner. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I managed to upgrade my Doors vinyl collection. This undertaking has been a long time coming. I've certainly had the reasoning and motive to do it, and luckily, due to some celebratory circumstances, I finally upgraded to the 2LP 45RPM Analogue Productions pressings. Now, I have never done a video discussing any Doors catalog reissue series, so this video will provide some background to the pressings that I've owned previously, shine a light on some of the other reissues that have come out recently, and obviously discuss the amazing Analogue Productions pressings in great detail and the obvious motive for upgrading my Doors collection. It's about to go deep, so enough of the chit-chat, let's jump into what this video is all about. Now, it goes without saying that the Doors are one of my favorite psychedelic classic rock bands, and I was certainly out to get all their records when I started collecting vinyl. Now, when I started out, all I was concerned with was getting affordable new copies of their studio catalog, and that was before I got my hands on the abundance of live releases, record store day pieces, compilations, and other things. So what I had settled on were the pressings that Rhino had put out in 2008 with the release of the Doors vinyl box set, which features the main 6 studio albums along with the mono mix of the debut. The main 6 were released separately in 2009, and then the mono debut got released for Record Store Day in 2010. And these were mastered by Bernie Grundman using 192 24-bit digital files, and to my ears, those reissues sounded great. They replicated all aspects of the original artwork, and they went for about $25 on average, so they were very good value for your money. Now, depending on where you look, these late 2000s Rhino pressings are available for decent prices, but they have been more or less superseded with the recent 50th anniversary pressings, most of which used the plangent process for digitizing the tape, and they were also mastered by Bernie Grundman. Now, I'm not sure how radical of a difference they'd have with the late 2000s pressings, but I've heard overall positive things about them, and I'm kind of curious as to how they sound. Now, granted, it's digital across the board, but if these reissues were all that the general public had, we would have been fine. But, of course, there is always room for improvement in terms of the analog realm. In the early 2010s, Analogue Productions dropped the ball with their reissue campaign of the Core 6 Doors studio titles on both vinyl and Super Audio CD. Now, for the vinyl, they cut them at 45 RPM across 2 LPs, mastered by Doug Sachs and overseen by Doors engineer Bruce Botnick, and all cut from the original Analogue master tapes, with the exception of the debut album, which was cut from a tape copy, and that was the best available source. Now, for the Super Audio CDs, they included both stereo and surround sound mixes. The surround sound mixes are of the ones that were done in 2006 for the Perception box set, which was released as CD and DVD audio, but obviously for the purposes of Super Audio CD, they upsampled the mixes without any filters to DSD. Now, aside from the individual releases, which proved to still be in print, there was also the release of the Infinite box set, which was released in both vinyl and SACD counterparts, that brought everything together, limited and numbered to 2,500 copies. Now, obviously, Analogue Productions has a reputation for supplying the best type of product that can outdo most originals in terms of the mastering, the packaging of their product. They're a company that you can trust, and they are always transparent. And I knew this going into vinyl collecting, but at the time, I wasn't ready to spend $50 on a full-on audiophile pressing of an album, and now that they go for $60, and plus given how modest my setup was, and with time, I upgraded every component and my ears got fine-tuned to the sound of hi-fi and what I was seeking. So I knew that at some point I would perhaps part ways with my 2000s Rhino pressings, or hold on to them and forego the whole Analogue Productions upgrade. Now, these pressings came out 10 years ago, and they still remained in print for any budding collector or audiophile, and I just recently celebrated my 25th birthday. So what does that mean? I put these pressings on my birthday list, and sure enough, the entire Doors Analogue Productions catalog was in my possession. So let's look at the packaging of these. Now, first off, this is the greatest quality jacket that you could possibly ask for. These are stout and tip-on jackets, very thick and sturdy. They have a nice glossy finish to them, absolutely deluxe to the touch. Now, what's unique about some of these is that some of the original pressings came in single sleeve jackets, and this time around, they made those single sleeve albums into gatefolds. Particularly with the debut, the gatefold has a cool band photo, which wasn't used in the original pressing, so that's featured here, along with the lyrics. Now, for Strange Days, the original came with a printed inner sleeve with the lyrics and a band photo, and Analogue Productions went ahead and used that as the basis of the gatefold, which is pretty cool. Same goes with LA Woman. They took the sort of crucifixion image that was featured on the inner sleeve as part of the gatefold, and now they also included some lyrics as well, which is very nice. Now, granted, the only bit of artwork that isn't included is the printed inner sleeve that came with the Soft Parade, which had some band photos and lyrics, and of course, as you saw with LA Woman, they didn't do the rounded corners and like the transparent film type jacket, but those are such minute aspects that can easily be forgiven. Each album does come with an acoustic sounds catalog, showing you more ways that you can spend your hard-earned dollars. All the records come housed in these nice MoFi-esque rice paper sleeves, which bear the Quality Record Pressings logo, which obviously indicates where these were pressed at. And the records themselves come pressed on gorgeous virgin 180-gram vinyl. The original run of these when they first came out were on 200 grams, so since they did a repressing, they went ahead and pressed them on 180 gram. And all of the era-specific Elektra labels are used accurately, whether it is the gold label, the red label, or the butterfly label. So now let's tackle the sound quality. How do these pressings sound? And I gotta be honest, if you are looking for the best sonic representation of the Doors catalog on vinyl, this is the definitive way to go. Now, granted, many people may have original pressings, the Rhinos that Bernie Grundman has cut, or the DCC pressings that were done by Steve Hoffman, but given the way that these were prepared utilizing the whole 2LP 45RPM format, you were getting much more finer details from the master source. Bruce Botnick is a brilliant engineer for me to acknowledge that these albums were recorded beautifully and all the fine nuances just come across on these pressings. Even for the debut album, like I said, they had to use a safety copy of the tape, and the one that was used for this pressing dates back to around 1980. It still sounds solid, particularly with a song such as The End. It's rather hypnotic, and hearing it this way just keeps you locked in that sort of trance that the track creates. And there were some real moments where my jaw literally dropped, especially in When the Music's Over from Strange Days. There's that middle section that's kind of stripped down. John Densmore crescendos, the band explodes, and Jim Morrison is just wailing. I literally thought my speakers were going to explode, and that anticipation buildup is intensified with this pressing. Even with Waiting for the Sun, the acoustic guitar in Spanish Caravan has a certain transparency to it that sounds so silky, and even the album's more quieter moments with a track like Yes, the River Knows, that subtleness comes across as so soothing and sublime. It is just beautiful to the ears. With the Soft Parade, the saxophone in Touch Me literally sounded like it was coming right in front of me. It was so lifelike sounding. It was amazing. And then overall, Morrison Hotel packs the sort of punch that makes this pressing sound so huge and full in terms of the bottom end. They were obviously going back to their bluesy kind of roots, and that desired effect comes across in the playback of this 2LP pressing. Last but not least, as for LA Woman, I feel that this 2LP 45RPM format works so well with this album, given that it does feature some longer songs, so the album's length does go on a bit compared to some of the earlier records, and you may get a case of some intergroove distortion on some older pressings on tracks such as the title track and Riders on the Storm. And even though this album was recorded at the rehearsal space, obviously using professional equipment, this pressing makes the album sound more cozy than you thought. It's tight and it's absolutely in your face. So is it safe to say that these are the essential doors pressings to own on vinyl? I'm sure many others have testified, and my opinion is no different to the others, but yes, these are absolutely essential. The presentation in terms of the high quality jackets and the sound quality is everything that Chad Kasem and Analogue Productions set out to do, and that's providing the best possible pressing that can outdo originals, like I had mentioned. And from a value standpoint, getting nice originals of some of these albums can be a pricey endeavor, to the point where these 2LP editions are a fraction of what it is to get a nice original. Like I said, these pressings came out back in 2012, and you would think that they would be out of print, but luckily they are still available for $60 a piece, and I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed. And that right there is how I upgraded my Doors vinyl collection with the 2LP 45RPM Analogue Productions pressings. Now here's a question for you guys. Do you have these pressings in your collection? What do you think of them? Did I perhaps persuade you to check them out? Please drop a comment down below. I'd love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead, give it a like, and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video, and most importantly, keep the records spinning.